answers will they have in play that will just make Gala's life difficult? We see the Jinx come in first and foremost for Xing, so something that does have a decent range advantage. Question is, what will they follow up on here? Nautilus makes a lot of sense, right? A high mobile AD carry, having that point and click stun can do a lot of favors.
I feel like especially with what we saw in the first game too, second game, the ease of access here is Nautilus, Jinx locked in. Okay, next steps here. Xiaohu, Lissandra's banned against him. His second most played is Ahri. It's not going to be the Zeri early rotation, which kind of feels nicer to see him on something that can have a little bit more earlier access, but do I speak too soon, Aux?
Yeah, toying with their options as well. I mean, we've seen Wei bring out the Vi before, but it looks like they're just going to lock that Ahri in, as we kind of expect, right? Two of the big answers to Ahri are Lissandra and Silas. They're both banned. And we might see Wei follow up with the Vi. I love this combo. EDG were one of the first to play it. It's like the Vi can ult a target, and Ahri can just guarantee that she'll be there as well to follow up. Really strong combo. And an aspect of it is it denies away part of the strength of what can target Zeri, right? If you have a Vi and an Ahri to pin down this AD carry, it can be a bit painful. So a bit of denial, but also their own tools.
Yeah, again, like this 3 stacks seems so strong as a first rotation for RNG. For WE, going back to something that did so well in the last game, but more importantly, syncs up well with the bottom lane as well. It does feel like WE are going back to more team fighting here, Orcs, more of the late game component.
Yeah, a lot of the 5v5 aspect. The Swain benefits, the more targets he can be hitting, the better it is for him. Whereas RNG, a lot of poke, a lot of pick so far, but still not too shabby in the team fights if they can get on the right target. I do like the Swain pick though. WE gonna start to target away the supports on the side of RNG. Yep. See, Alistair first and foremost. Obviously, Nautilus has been denied. Be interested to see if they fear like a Yuumi pickup. Like, bear in mind, there's plenty of engage on RNG with that Ahri Vi. You could go for something like a Yuumi, as much as it might be risky in the bot lane, would make your scaling insane.
Ming hasn't played it yet. Other time, I believe, we saw something like the Karma come through Orcs. So, maybe one Enchanter for another here, depending on Ming's playstyle. I love that the Alistars are banned, though. Let's be real. Over history, Ming, Mako, some of the best Alistar players in the LPL. Was one of his best as, he joined the league in 2016. So now, for WE, Orcs has already pulled out something like the Yuumi. Let's see if an Enchanter goes. And then limits options here for the bottom lane of RNG. Just show me. Renata, something we didn't even touch on there, Orcs. So still an Enchanter, still taken away.
Yeah, banning that one obviously does a decent job at mitigating some of the pressure, while also pairing nice with the Zeri. So we'll target that area now. We see RNG target that Kale, something we saw in game 1 from BiuBiu. Still, like, the Gangplank is open and available. Still options in that regard. We'll see what they have to go for. Probably expectation is just a jungler here, unless there's like a top laner that they really want to prioritize. We saw Gnar being that for RNG in the last set, but I don't think there's anything really outstanding at this point. And it looks like WE might just go for the Viego. So they do lock this in. It's even more momentum. You get a kill, you get the Jinx resets, you get the Viego resets, you get a little bit of healing for the Swain, and you can continue forwards in those fights.
A lot of resets actually on both teams at this point as well. So fun little tidbit is it means top lane gets a counter pick here. So we have to show all cards. What's Breed going to pull out? Gwen's already gone.
This is off topic, but if Vi was released today, her ult would reset on kills. That's all I'm saying.
True. And E probably has like much bigger AoE. Probably has lockdown with
global.
it as well. W passive is he has a Banshee's Veil every 40 seconds. The list is limitless here. As we get an engage, nevertheless, no Enchanter here for Ming. We do get something that can help out with the mid-jungle duo you just talked about, and a bit of versatility with Breed going on the GP.
Yeah, a lot of threat right now offered towards Xing on this Jinx. The GP completely makes sense. We're going to see the Sejuani coming out from BiuBiu, so really bulky tank when it comes to those team fights. Able to soak a lot of damage, but not the best lane into GP, just because of the fact that obviously your stuns can't have the greatest effect because of the oranges, but still expect BiuBiu to scale up nicely. And I think in the 5v5, WE are comfortable. RNG definitely scale quite nicely, right? If you connect the W poke from the Zeri, if you connect the barrels from the GP, that's a big portion of your damage. And you have the ability just to blow up Xing. So When it comes to those team fights, that's what I expect. Blow up Xing, use those big tools that have so much damage potential from the Zeri and the Gangplank, and then look to follow through on the team fights there. Whereas for the side of WE, it's those clumped 5v5s. It's the group team fights that's going to find them favor. But ultimately, if one of the teams gets a lead, it's really going to make their objective a lot easier.
Yeah, I feel like getting the ball rolling here is going to be the fun part about this third game. Early game so far has been pretty controlled by WE. I feel like game 1 and game 2, we have been singing the praises of WE in game 1 being able to stem scaling and keep the game at an even flow. Game 2, being able to accelerate and pull out the win conditions that we set up here, Orcs, or more specifically that you set up. In game number 3, getting the game snowballing. You've already complemented RNG's mid-jungle here with the Vi-Ahri combination that seems very unique, but is not unique to RNG at this point as well. More so, they've done it better than a lot of other teams in the world. And I need to point out that Wei is 3-0 on this Vi too. So a lot of reputation coming through from RNG, and that's exactly what will be lost if WE hit them hard here. RNG are 4-2. They haven't played as many series as other teams in the league, but still, they need to start catching up to some of the big dogs, where WE are looking for their first series win. Can they finally cross the line? Can WE get rid of parts of the wooden spoon and get respect not only from the audience, but from everyone across the world? I truly hope so, because WE have had a rough time.
That they absolutely have. Well, the best split in RNG, you know, 4-2 is a respectable score, and the fact they haven't played many series gives them a chance to make their score better. But if they drop a series against WE, they'll be 4-3, and suddenly doesn't look quite as sharp compared to 5-2. We'll see how it ends up playing out. Ultimately, a lot of ganking power from this Vi. We've seen it before. If you can connect that Q, really can do quite a bit of damage in the early levels of the game. So we'll see if they opt to try and make some plays happen. They have set up, you know, mid and bot. You have CC to make things happen. Definitely potential for an early gank from Wei to happen in either of those areas.
As Ward spotted out for WE in the bottom side. Not cleansed away. Lens, thank you so much. She's going to get the first ward. While a ward spotting out Brood on the top side, and we'll know that it is a bottom side start here from Wei. So just a bit of an information game to kick off this one, Orcs, and especially since we do have the Vi and the Viego, the snowballing effect that you said is important to this game 3's winner. Feels like it is going to be coming from the jungle, where we start discussing merit.
Yeah, I think the junglers are the ones who can really have an impact on the lane. The expectation is mid. Xiaohu's going to have some pressure early. Swain needs a little bit more levels to get going. Short cooldown in his Q. Bot lane, a lot of trading back and forth. You know, expect the Jinx to have that early prio. And bear in mind, the way this Leona Nautilus matchup plays out is generally the Nautilus wants to Q whenever the Leona goes for the E. Oh, but that's a heavy trade.
It is. Ignite comes down. Cleanse burnt by Gala again. In the early laning phases of Kalista last game, Gala did the exact same thing, but this time, so much more bounty, so much more power from WE.
Yeah, I mean, they get the level 2 first and they punish. Heal doing a great job. And remember, the Glacial Augment and the Nautilus, neither of those really affected by Cleanse at all. The Cleanse was just to remove the debuff, the Ignite burn, and now a big wave. Portion of it going to be missed at least. Ming's going to collect, but yeah, not ideal for Gala.
A cannon wave, but you're right. Like, those minions are going to be cleaned out by 3 or 4 more after that. So Ming at least will have more CS, or at least the same as Gala, to open up this early game. But the bottom lane sets itself up nicely in the 2v2 as Wei is now going to be ganked as well, right on top of the Scuttle Crab. He gets it in the end, but taking this trade with Beishang as he shreds the armor. This little Vault Breaker of a Vi wants to get back on him, but needs Breathe by his side as Beishang is still heavy. A good Vault Breaker for the second time round, but Shanks is now here. A Flash Burn as Breathe wants to kill, but look who's here! Heal came all the way up from bottom lane to say howdy.
Still a 1-for-1 though, and ultimately, I think if RNG trade 1-for-1 on the back of that play with the heal roaming all the way up, I think they can be happy. A lot of summoners burn, right? Flash from heal, flash from Breathe, and Wei, and Beishang as well. Both top laners get a kill, but obviously, you know, you're more happy about your GP getting the kill, even if the Sejuani does get those double buffs.
True, and not losing anything from the wave, right? So feels like top side here for Breathe, going to be just fine as the wave continues piling in. But we'll look at the replay, because we're starting with top for some reason, where Breathe got a massive wave shoved in.
Oh, and he's sacrificing it. This is painful for any top laner. BiuBiu having to miss out on all that farm. And the thing is, as much as you get the kill, the reward isn't that great. You know, the fact that your lane opponent also gets one. Reed would have died without you is the sad thing to say on this situation. And those minions lost. Ultimately, we see BiuBiu making a bit of it back, but he has pushed the wave in. Reed's still going to be able to collect that cannon. We'll end up about 7 CS up in the matchup.
Yeah. So already a great start here for topside, and it balances out the earlier loss we saw in bot. Xing is 10 CS over his opponent at the moment too, so it does feel like we are now trading sides at this point in the game. Aux, where Xing and Hill have a bit of lane dominance here. Gala is very much behind with his cleanse not up for another minute. And RNG right now sitting even in gold with WE in this final game as Beishang starts trying to make a move once again.
He's constantly fishing these opportunities. And if they can win out the 2v2 mid-jungle, we saw the effect they had last game. I do feel like they get a lot of power from 6. This is applicable to both lanes, right? Both Vi and Ahri and Swain and the Viego get a lot of power at level 6. But I feel like with the extended fight, that's really where WE's mid-jungle shine. Now, Dragon is being contested heavily here.
Yeah, it is. Ming's heading in first, but Hill can just dredge line this up as for the steal, way's over. Smite needs to come down, and he gets it. And the first kill goes down as well. I mean, Xiaohu gets a reset. He hits 6 before Shanks, and this is going to be the reward. Xiaohu with his first kill of this third and final game, and RNG contesting with balls of steel.
A rare fact, right? 15th in the league for Fierce Dragon is RNG, but they make it happen there. Level 6 hit by Xiaohu makes all the difference. A Swain level 6 there could have been something for WE, but they end up getting challenged. We watch the replay. Big threat here is the Viego. Viego starts getting resets. Even pre-6 is scary. Ming instantly in on top of him. And in this mix-up, not only does he get bursted out, but the Dragon goes as well.
Man, and the Xiaohu getting 6 off the back of the first kill too. Really nice play here from RNG. The clutch factor there, and WE now suddenly behind in gold. Like, this is a Xiaohu game because on his Ahri, on one of his favorite picks of the league, he's now set up, and even Wei has recovered some of that debt he lost when he set up for the skirmish in the top side earlier.
Yeah, and now 003, Wei's going to have his ultimate available soon, so
yep.
Just in a really fantastic position ultimately. We do see in the bottom corner of your screen how there's a bit of an all-in coming in the top side. Ignite burn by BiuBiu. And then that GPL resulted in a kill for the Sejuani. You got to respect that, right? If you stack up the first stun from Sejuani, GP can't cleanse the second one with the ultimate.
True. But that's just
how
not
broken is Sejuani, by the way?
Oh my god, the early damage is nuts. Like, Permafrost, when you're versing a GP, has to be in range with you as well. Props to BiuBiu here. He's 2-0. Now, it is a tank top as we see a bit of engage through mid. Xiaohu having flash, but no spirit rushes. Shanks wants to demon flare him out, and Xiaohu takes that respect any day of the week. He would have been dead, and Xiaohu now getting tested by Shanks once again.
Does kind of suggest that maybe W not going to be in a position to contest his Herald if it's done on spawn, because you kind of need the Swain ultimate. But burns the flash from Xiaohu, obviously knew the time and knew the ult wouldn't be there, and does make him pay at least for a successful dragon fight that he had.
Well, he will have Spirit Rush available, so on your point about Herald, we have 5 seconds to find out if it's going to be contested, but Wei has got something else on his mind instead. It's Gala's lane, where Gala and Ming are only going forward into this one. Xing under turret for now, saving grace, but heal at half HP. A Zenith Blade taken, a cleanse used by Xing, and RNG want to kill Xing and heal. It is on the top of their to-do list. They are the Urukai running through. They want the Hobbits. They'll take these two instead. And as the charm comes through, there is nothing Boromir can do. As down death first, Xing will fall, and that kill going over once again to the carry in the mid lane.
And this is why Vi Ahri is so strong, right? You just dive in on the Vi, and the target is hit, right? Nothing Xing can do. Once that ult is pressed, he even flashed to create the distance. Wei flashes to follow, presses R. Okay, I'm getting CC'd, and that gave the opportunity for Xiaohu to catch up. 3 charges of the Spirit Rush, enough to get there. Lands a charm, and the Jinx goes down, and now the cost. You remember, Xing had a CS advantage because of that early play, and now is falling. I mean, at least allowing Gala to catch up, but with the plates going, is falling behind as well.
It's just a big turnaround for the lane that just felt so hopeless, and a nice setup for the Zeri that continuously get bans in the LPL for reasons like this. The Noon Quiver picked up, the Snowball now truly enrolling for RNG. so many lanes here, Orcs, that give so many possibilities. It's really the replay here. I mean, this Vi, once again, for RNG is making magic.
Yeah, I mean, once your hits, not much you can do. And Xing gets hit by the red for the slow, and here he'll... This is the right call, by the way. Ops not to block the charm, because I think... I don't know. I mean, I feel like maybe they would have both died if he'd blocked the charm. I don't know. It's a hard call, but either way, at least one of them gets out. Xing does end up going down, and the end result is RNG get the play they want.
004, by the way. Wei has full kill participation, if words could work today. So once again, we're talking about this Vi doing so much work on RNG. A lot of merit given over, and with his 2k gold lead in the early game, with Dragon coming up in 30 seconds, Orcs, Wei's in the perfect spot, and he's just waiting for Xing and Heal to step over. But I believe the Scrying Bloom either spotted him out or knew that things were a little bit too sus to stay that far out in lane.
Yeah, you want to be careful, because, you know, it could just be an easy repeat, especially now that Ming has his level 6. If Xing gets caught by either the Solar Flare or the Ultimate Vi, he's stuck, and he will die, so you have to play this one so careful. And this is kind of, I gotta say, RNG's composition is kind of a anti-Jinx comp in a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways to shut down this Jinx on the side of WE. Not a fun game to be playing AD carry. Much rather be playing something like Xayah in a scenario like this, or Ezreal.
True. With no way out. As Solar Flare's there. Look, they got Shanks. Charm as well. The CC flies through, so well timed out as Ming gets the kill, and Spirit Rush is just playing with the journey back over the wall. Xiaohu making magic happen once again as Heal comes in to try and change the play, but Heal, I think your friends are dead. 7-2, RNG 3k up, and this Ahri pick is taking over the game with his pink-haired friend in the jungle.
Once again, Xiaohu on agency. Game 2, the loss was him on Azir, and sure, he did the most damage, but it's kind of sit back and wait for the team fights. This is the team playing around mid, and Xiaohu coming up huge, and now Breathe could be in trouble. We could see a repeat.
Yeah, we could. We didn't get to see it last time, but finally now with the 1v1 coming through, BiuBiu with ultimate available as well, just waiting for that orange to come through. Permafrost after permafrost, and BiuBiu holding the ignite for now. Breathe without an ulti, but at least something's going right for a member of WE.
Yeah, Breathe having a little bit of problems on the top side of the map, and Beishang with Herald could just come down. They could just slam this and make the play.
TP is a good response, though, from RNG. The barrel chain not coming out yet, but BiuBiu's going to respect that it could get worse from here. So Xiaohu makes the move. Herald plating, not given over yet as Beishang holds on, but BiuBiu still able to crack one of his own.
Yeah, I think they just slam the Herald. They get the tower here. Nothing RNG can do to stop this. They can try and deny BiuBiu from being in range, but that's about all they'll achieve here.
And Xiaohu's coming up. He wants BiuBiu. Now, Arctic Assault is available. Orbit Deception does great damage. It's a flash away. That was nice from Xiaohu. He's now looking for the charm. A dodge away from BiuBiu once again, but as W comes through, Spirit Fire as well. Xiaohu lands the final blow. Wei's now here with a good Vault Breaker. The Solar Flare, Zenith Blade. The layering of CC here is so beautiful to watch from RNG.
Man, and it feels like even when RNG get a good play, even when WE get a good play, RNG just end up winning overall. They have both dragons. Yes, they lose the first tower, but how fed is this Ahri right now? And Gala playing with fire a little bit here, but WE don't feel confident to go for the play.
No, they don't. They won't even go near him. He's got an Immortal Shield Bow as well, Orcs, so going to take a bit of time to burst him out. As we look at the replay, this is the previous one before where this same layering of CC from Ming, just gorgeous.
I mean, this is RNG at the best. When they have so much ability to dictate fights, pick a target, kill a target, and work as a team, these are the comps that have worked most for RNG, and are the reason why they can just take over games. And you can see here, Heal caught out as well, going for the dredge line into the blast cone to try and get out, and doesn't get a chance. And then here, Xiaohu without ultimate is able to gain the distance with that extra movement speed and chase down the Sejuani.
You know, you said before, it's Xiaohu on agency, on playmaking. I'll also say, I always prefer it when Ming is on engage. Leona, Nautilus, like Alistar, Ming over his career has always looked best when he plays his engaged supports rather than things like Yuumi or Renata. I mean, even the Renata game 1 was insane, right? But Ming is just such a good playmaking support as well.
Hey, I think we have some time to talk about that, because at the moment it feels like RNG firmly in control. But this is kind of like the strength, but also the flaw of RNG, is that you know, when Ming is on engage, Xiaohu is on these agency picks, as we saw them demonstrate at MSI, as we saw in the spring playoffs, when the meta was these proactive moving mid laners, things like the Galio, spearheaded by RNG, they look fantastic. It looks like they're so good at setting up plays on the map. They're so good at coordinating the mid game, finding picks, knowing what to do in team fights, and excellent target selection. You see this, the trio working together. If anyone steps up to these three, they're down. The concern is what if the meta shifts away from that, right? We've already seen the priority of Leona and Nautilus drop a little bit compared to spring. Control mages are a bit more frequent. It's fine. It's okay for now. You know, Ahri's still in the meta. Leona's still in the meta. Nautilus is still in the meta. These picks are still there, just not as dominant. And my question for RNG over the course of the split, obviously they're looking fantastic now, but if we're thinking of this team as, you know, the dominant winners of MSI, if we look towards Worlds, then a meta shift could really hurt them, as it feels like as much as they're great at this style, a move away from it can be painful.
I mean, the direction in drafting game 2 is a little bit of an insight into that. Like, adaptability for RNG in draft may be a bit of a concern that we can see heading towards playoffs. We don't know what direction's going to happen because we're in 12.12. We assume there's going to be a couple other patches over the course of the rest of this summer split. And let's be real, patches have had massive swings. Like, it's not small patches. We have had insanely heavy patches for the start of a summer split. Like, they're preseason patches, I think 3 in a row at this point.
Yeah, massive patches in as well. The thing with the meta is like, it's such a fluid thing, right? It's really just kind of set by what is working, what is winning, and it can change on a drop of a hat, right? And we could get a playoffs and suddenly realize that actually this isn't the way that's best to play the game. A team could just steamroll by playing a different way, and everyone has to match that. We could get to internationals, and that often is the case at Worlds, where, you know, regions have a complete wrong read on the meta and they have to adapt, and that could be the pain point. For the time being, it's obviously working very effectively. And you can see Xiaohu 10 stacks on the Medjai is looking to try and set up some more if Shanks gives them the window.
I mean, he's so big. He's got a 500 gold bounty at this point. That turret his too. We've been talking away, looking at the future and what it holds for RNG, because this one feels a little bit done. With a 5k gold lead, sure. Scaling on WE, we talked about a little bit, but RNG just have such good control at this point. Third Dragon's coming up as well as Heal sets up for the Dredgeline depth charge, but Breathe is here buying time while Shanks gets into the backline. It looks good with a Demon Flare, but Gala's still alive with his Electroshock Therapy at the ready. Heal Dredgeline, Beishang with a stolen Ming. It's also good there, but now Xiaohu's here. The Heartbreaker not connecting. A Spirit Rush again. WE clean out the fight, and just as we're calling it too hard, RNG get caught out with their pants all the way down, and now for BiuBiu, he's walked in once again. Assault and battery won't matter. WE are back on the board.
Just as we're ready to start talking about the future, WE bring it back to the present. Fantastic team fight from them. And you can see when everything is clumped up, when the resets start to come in, they find favor. RNG's composition, fantastic poke, fantastic pick. But when it comes to that grouped up 5v5, just not quite as effective, and we'll see how the replay pans out. So initially, a lot invested onto the Leona, which might initially seem like a mistake, but Ahri isn't here. Xiaohu's not there, and they managed to get this first initial kill. One member down off RNG and a reset and pocket heal. Fantastic Dredgeline into Leona CFC, dealing with double CC supports there as a result of the Viego, and that's when the resets happen. Yes, Xiaohu is still too much of an issue to take down with that mobility, but they get everyone else.
And as you said, it's a reset not only for Beishang, but for Xing as well. Untouched in the back line, this Jinx is getting to the point where we're close to 2 items, I believe, as we move away from our little banner. And yeah, we're at a Zeal now as well, and he just got that 500 gold shutdown on Gala, so WE not as far out in the woods as we thought, and they also got the Dragon there, Orcs. So they're not forced to fight a lot earlier than we suspected with the way the game state was going.
Yeah, that was a massive one, especially when you have things like GP barrels and you have the W, you know the name, don't you? The Hypershock laser, is it called?
Ultra Shock
laser. Ultra Shock laser from the Zeri. These things with an Infernal Soul, devastating. So WE bought themselves time. The only sad thing is they didn't kill Xiaohu, not just because there's a mega shutdown, but also the Medjai stacks. A lot of gold value would be knocked off if you're able to take him down. But still, fantastic fight from WE. Shows they're still in this game. Shows that RNG cannot disrespect their opponents or they will be punished.
And if Xiaohu goes down as well, all that gold going back over, I think at that point we start going, well, concern might flip over to RNG. That Majai's Ahri, the commitment there, the 6-0 and 3, the 650 gold bounty, that goes to Xing or even to Shanks. Maybe we've got trouble brewing as well. But let's look ahead, Orcs. We need to see what's going to be the next pilot because, well, piloting move. English is really hard today. I'll get there. Baron's coming up in 20 seconds. And right now, RNG is setting up.
Dude, just stick to Australian, honestly.
Dude, Australian's even harder. We don't even know what we're saying. You know, we wear thongs on our feet, and Americans are like, you wear thongs on your feet? That's kind of sick. You know, we honestly don't have our own language. It's just the worst dialect you ever heard of. Anyway, be proud of it. Hey, RNG, almost finding heal. That's something. But Baron now spawns, and I get a moment to rest and recover Orcs, as it looks like it is just a fishing game for now.
Yeah, and as long as WE can stop the Baron from going down, they're fine. And I think one of the most notable things about Swain is his W and the fact that you can just check Baron with it, you know? One of the issues that we have is blue trinket's been used by WE. There's now a window where if you look at the items on the bottom of the scoreboard for WE, no blue trinkets available. It doesn't matter. As long as you can keep spamming Ws, RNG are going to struggle. You have a very finite window in which you can start rushing the Baron before that ability is up again, unless you can find a pick. Now, the damage on the Beishang, not quite enough though, even with that Void Staff. WE able to stall out time. A minute and a half until that dragon. I feel like the focus for RNG will be back on that side of the map. Now, WE can afford to give this one up, but obviously would prefer to take it themselves.
Your timing was just right, though. You mentioned picks. Xiaohu doing half HP here to Beishang, so still is that pick potential that we know and love. And for RNG heading up towards Baron, you can see right now, clearing away the vision is going to be the first priority, but WE are already calling the bluff, saying it's not going to happen, and heading straight down.
You know what? Great restraint from Shanks. If I ever see anyone clearing wards in a Baron pit, I pop my W, and Shanks holds it because he's getting the reset off. I don't think I would have had the same restraint, but regardless, Bright Light's completed for Shanks. Stopwatch in pocket as well. Big spike for the Swain, and it looks like they are posturing for this dragon, ready to take it. And RNG, they now have to try and push into the area, try and use some of their poke tools to find angles. If they get into a clumped 5v5 again, don't think it looks good for them.
No, it doesn't. And on that ward as well, they know that RNG is still hovering around mid. Good vision from WE to set this up as Beishang wants that claw into Xiaohu, but he won't give it over. Hasn't popped the ulti either. Good restraint again as the soul flares on top of Xing, who won't burn anything himself, but his heal takes a bit of a chunk from Xiaohu. This angle is becoming a bit of an issue. WE are trying to claw forward, but into the cannon barrage. They took so much damage, and Gala was a miss to getting even more down. WE at half HP across the board. And just like that, the poke, the pick, the power sends WE back to give RNG the third Drake.
Great use of their poke. I think ultimately the main reason that worked so well for RNG was they didn't engage. They didn't dive in and try and force the fight. And so as a result, you know, the Swain didn't get that much value. Shanks' ult just timed out. This is what WE want. They want you to dive into them, get up close and clumped with these champions that check melees, right? Swain and Sejuani are not fun to play against when you're in melee range. And so RNG just maintain the distance and manage to poke them out and get the objective. Now, 3 dragons to 1. RNG can just play for time, right? You have strong scaling. Lean into that Infernal Soul. If you secure that, it should be enough of a boost to carry through the rest of the game.
And imagine Xiaohu with Infernal Soul as well. Like Xing without cleanse or Shanks getting caught out as well. You don't have time to use the stopwatch. Yeah. The Zeri W, right? It's already doing quite a bit as we get a real-time action piece on our screen. Gala's close towards the Infinity Edge as well, and that's when it skyrockets. So for RNG right now, Orcs, it's that Baron hover. You know, 4 minutes, we have to wait, and WE obviously want to pick here to try and turn the favor. But RNG, they're playing pretty defensive here and just waiting this time until Xiaohu joins.
Yeah, just trying to push and make sure RNG can't find anything for themselves. But RNG are just fine, just playing out the map. It's going to be very difficult to start the Baron against RNG's composition. The mobility they have to get in the pit, the fact that they have the cannon barrage.
Cool.
Ming will just try and make sure nothing's going down. But they don't even feel like they have to risk enough to get in range. Gala still has his blue trinket. And when they see Xing show up mid, they know nothing's going on.
Just kind of crazy to see Ming de-warding by himself. You know, a lot of support's been caught in that position before, so perfect timing coming through. Xing and Healer by themselves mid. Good poke here from Gala. And he doesn't even have the Infinity Edge. I mean, Xing's at half HP in that scenario with the third item picked up, Orcs, and good little poke once again that forces WE to rethink their position.
Yeah, we'll get some healing in, and we do see, it's on the replay, there was a cleanse burn by Xing.
Oh, yeah.
So that summoner being down quite substantial when setting up these plays, especially you have the charm as well. Now, Xiaohu,
oh, his
Beishang.
position. No, he just walks by. Doesn't even flash, doesn't ulti. Just the wrong time and the wrong place. It ends up being Xiaohu being a little bit late on the trigger here. So opens up mid-turret Aux at the very least, despite not being able to get the pick.
Yeah, now still fishing for opportunities. And this is RNG doing a good job of using that poke, using that threat of pick to try and make things happen. WE grouping up now to respond. And he'll cut out.
Oh, he's just dead.
Okay,
well, that's anticlimactic. A charm connects out of nowhere. And once again, Xiaohu is just becoming this legend within the series itself.
Yeah, and now they can turn towards the Baron. Remember, they have fantastic ability to just on a dime turn off the Baron when they need. Now, Shanks should have his W up. They use the blue trinket to check. So there's no reason they have to rush in there until they see it started. See if Shanks pops that Visions of Empire in a second. Yeah, there it is. So they spot it out. They know the Baron's full HP. They don't have to do anything crazy like face checking it. And as much as it's a good pick for RNG, they won't be able to translate into much more than that mid-tier 2.
Now, at least they're able to defend mid-tier 1, though. But, you know, for WE still, as you said, a lot of good scouting reticles. A lot of good things like the Vision of Empire from Swain. That keeps it safe for now, but BiuBiu's stealing red. Wei will not be happy about this, but there's nothing he can do as the pig runs away. Bye-bye, BiuBiu. Bye-bye. I love that skin, honestly. I feel like there's so many different ways you can go with Sejuani. Riding a dragon, riding a pig we've already got. Riding an elephant. There are so many cool things that Sejuani can do.
You should pitch these, man. I would enjoy it. Yeah, the elephant one would sound sick.
But I can't be on the design team because you know me, Orcs. Aphelios came out and I lost half of my hair in 6 months. So I can't. You know, I just can't. I can't live like that.
Well, let's jump in to the next dragon. Minute time. RNG if the securities have soul. But I think it goes without saying how much of a spike that would be. Now, we look at the items coming in. 16 stack Medjais for Xiaohu still. Just had the Mortal Reminder picked up for the GP and a crit cloak. Zeri on that coveted 3-item spike with Infinity Edge. Those Ultra Shock lasers going to be hitting like a truck.
Oh, yeah.
WE on the other hand, they do have 3 items on the Jinx, but
Ming setting up with the Zenith Blade. That's a starting engage. Beishang hit with the now Infinity Edge Gala. Orcs, a big difference here as he goes back to his own jungle, but RNG are going to try and use his timing. Assault Flare hits too mad. He's got no cleanse. Xing being ult in the backside. The Assault and Battery, and you've been charged with a murder way. But I don't think anyone's going to convict him in the middle of this fight because for WE, they have no lawyers. They have no case, and it's so biased because RNG are the judge, the jury, and the executioners of this series.
And you know what? I talked about this being an anti-Jinx composition. I think you really felt it in that team fight. RNG decimate Xing, and the rest of the composition falls like dominoes. Beishang, I'm not sure there's much you can do. I think it's just RNG claiming the 2-1.
It's so sad. WE looked like they could pick up their first series win, but RNG with a breath of fresh air in the final game of this series remain strong, remain confident, and remain to make sure that WE goes 0-7. But RNG, a big win to make sure that momentum builds up for them in this summer split.
Yeah, definitely some promise shown by WE, but still, unfortunately, not able to get a series. 4 game wins is all they have in the split so far, but still 0 in that series score. Work to be done. And honestly, RNG, probably another team you expect them to take it off regardless. RNG get revenge for that spring series. WE in the last one to take them down before MSI. And I think RNG, you know, when they have the comp that works for them, when they have the agency for Xiaohu, when they have skill expression for Gala and picks like the Zeri, picks that can just take over, it's easy. It's easy for them.
It is. And, you know, the Zeri pick is huge. Like, I think Xiaohu once again showing what he does with agency. We're going to have a long conversation about this man being on priority picks, right? Even the Lissandra, his ability to roam and move in that first game set RNG up for success in the mid game. It's just so nice to see when RNG play like this because game 2 kind of goes out of the back of your mind and you think, well, there's the RNG that won MSI. There's the RNG that do look very convincing as a 5-man unit.
Yeah, and, you know, I always have this big question mark because regular season RNG and playoff RNG are a very different beast. Any reservations you have about regular season RNG, you need to bear in mind that this is not their final form. They have brought in a new player. They are working out some kinks with Breathe. Breathe obviously didn't have the best game. They'd get solo killed, but still managed to come through in the end. But when we do get to playoffs, you know, RNG late in the split lost 2-0 to WE, lost 2-0 to RA, and then went on to win all of playoffs and MSI. So the fact that they can still show performances like this just kind of shows that MSI champions are still a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah. And Wei bringing out the Vi. 4-0 now on the pick. Undefeated on Arcane a champion buff. That, yeah, people aren't seeing this Arcane champion come out of anywhere. Like, it's a bit of an abnormality. And Aux, I don't know if you've been watching other regions, but here in the LPL, even then, it has been something that's been here or there, but not massively prioritized. Yeah,
and we get, you know, see the post game. Obviously, decent damage spread, I'd say, is one thing for RNG. All the carries doing a fair share. Shanks, so much damage done. So, full KP from BiuBiu. Like, WE tried, it wasn't enough.